Forward to talking about science and technology today. Have we found yet another missing link which can turn the God story on its ear? We'll find out at SCI TECH TALK.
It's the My Michelle Live podcast. My Michelle Live, SCI Tech Talk, taking the God story to a geeky place. Michelle.
Yes, I am. Thank you for joining with us today. It's a big news story. We're going to be taking on something called the Dragon Man. And when you think of something as cool sounding as the Dragon Man, you got to take it on, right? What it's looking like is a potential missing link from, thousands and years ago. I'm right if I remember from memory, about 140,000 years ago, a precursor to man. In fact, there's been some interesting discoveries you may not know about. Another discovery of a skull fragment and part of a jaw. They say it was a kind of precursor to humans that evolved in a different direction and then suddenly went extinct. What is this all about? What's going on? What's happening in the world of archaeology and these incredible finds from the past that can show us where we really come from? Well, we're going to take it on with a biochemist. Fuz Rana is Vice President of Research and Apologetics at Reasons to Believe. So, if we can get down to the nitty gritty of what's really going on here and see if it really is a challenge to the God story, he is our man. In fact, he's written a book, Humans 2.0, which kind of goes from the opposite of trying to find our past links to where we're linking up to in the future for transhumanism. He is an old friend of the show, and it is so good to have you with us. Dr. Rana Fuz, welcome. Oh, Fuzz, this one. Okay, I'm just going to set the stage if there's newbies, people who haven't listened to this program before. So, yeah, we get into science and technology. We can get all geeky on stuff, but Dr. Rana and I share something outside of science, kind of a science fiction geekiness that we both like to indulge in beyond the book learning and the delving into science. It's a science fiction, right? We're a little geeky that way, self-admittedly, and we're okay with that. So when you hear a phrase dragon man, oh my gosh, does that just conjure up all kinds of stuff? Mm-hmm. And do I have one? Or am I just this accident of evolutionary happenstance? We kind of want to know this. I want to talk a bit about Dragon Man. The name, once you know the origins, doesn't sound as cool. Uh, but when you look at this, it's a near perfect skull with very protruding bones above where your eyebrows would be. I mean, so that very typical idea that we have of ancient hominins with the protruding eyebrows and that's really what we're looking at here. Very, they say, very, very ancient, but not the first find. I know that there was another find that was simply a part of a skull and part of a jawbone with maybe, I want to say, two teeth in it. They say from about 100,000 years ago, and it was discovered in Israel. And they say, this is another interesting find, showing these missing links that we said just didn't exist. Here they are. Hmm. Okay, let's dig through that. That's a pretty big statement, really, when you say that some of these new discoveries, the one in Israel was back in, I think, 2008, if I remember right. So it's been some time, but some of these things just get legs a little bit later as we dig through and we look at the age and do a little bit more discovery. But you're saying that. Both the Israeli find, the one and the Dragon Man find, kind of challenge what we have established as evolutionary thinking. Now, keep in mind as you're watching this, this is the same evolutionary thinking that we're taught as facts in from grade school on up through college. We're taught that it is fact. There are times where, honestly, it has been touted as theory, but as the most reasonable theory and often the only theory presented in the classroom. So you're saying that as we continue to find these new discoveries, that they actually bring a challenge to what we have had established as the theory of evolution. Uh, how so? Whew. There's a lot of questions that beg answers. One is, how do we know what a person looks like from a fingertip and a molar? Or in the case of this 2008 find in Israel, a portion maybe about this big of a skull and part of a jaw with two teeth. How do we know what a person really looks like? I mean, we have renderings and pictures and how much hair they had and where their hair was. How do we know that from skull fragments? Mm, mhm, Well, indeed. I mean, think about this. We know that there's been that kind of controversy within the study of ancient animal life and dinosaurs. We have renderings of what we say a T Rex looked like or a pterodactyl, but we don't really know. We make assumptions as to what their skin was like, or if they had fur, if they didn't have fur or hair, or scales or feathers. We make these assumptions and then we portray it in books and we make lifelike animatronics and we just believe it is so when we don't really know. So there is that question of the difference in some of these fossil finds, with protruding eye sockets, or the shape of them. How different are they from the difference that we already have on this planet, from someone who is of Asian descent versus European descent, someone who is larger, someone who's smaller? We have diversity right now. If we were to look at fossil records from 10 years ago, digging up a cemetery, would we say, oh wow, a whole new species of person? Hmm. Okay. So what does that say for species? Is it an entirely different species? Are these ancient kind of human, or are they something else altogether? In your opinion? Or can I just be weird here for a second and just say Bigfoot? I mean, honestly, there's so I'm not gonna comment on if there is or if there is not a Sasquatch, Bigfoot, abominable snowman, whatever, Yeti. But we do know that there's been some really weird creatures that are already existing on our planet, and that there have been some very weird creatures in the past. We don't know that that might not be what we're looking at when we look at this fossil record. Though some have argued that some of the fossils that are found are not that different than some of the unusual skull examples that we have in modern day. We don't know, especially when you're finding one or two instead of herds and herds and herds. The other thing that I think is a challenge to the evolutionary thinking is that while you may find these fossils, we're not finding them with holes for gills or some kind of strange nose like a hammerhead shark. We have yet to see anything that would take us from goo to you, essentially. Is that fair to say? Hmm. It's simply imaginary at this point. It just simply is imaginary. If you say that we transform from some kind of aquatic creature to some form of early Neanderthal to human, you are not seeing a transitional form in any way, shape, or form. We don't see that today because you would think, I mean, what would have stopped evolution from taking place? We should still see that today. But the only thing that we actually see is microevolution within a any given species, where we can see change in humanity over the years to adapt to our environment. And the same thing we will see with birds, with dogs, with fish. We don't see interspecies change. Okay, and I'm going to say, I think the idea now, I know we like to get to the God story, but I also like to be honest. I think it's amazing and wonderful to look at similarities between species and say, what if we manage to, that's what science is about. Science is the what if, and let's go back and test those what if theories to see if they play out. The problem in our society, Fuzz, seems to be that we want to be comfortable with the what if, because the what if those things aren't true and we're dealing with a creator, then you have to deal with philosophical issues that are very uncomfortable. So we tend to camp in the what if segment over here, where we feel comfortable, and we'll do everything we can to continue to foster that what if, to the detriment of the advancement of science and knowledge, in my opinion. Mm. Hmm. Mm-hmm. We have a consistency throughout all of creation, all of the universe. We have a consistency on our planet of when we create something, it has a piece of us within it. We can see that. We do not see things, machines that work, that we don't make an assumption that someone engineered it. We see the most delicious, delicate, and intricate engineering on the planet, in our water system, in how humans work, in reproduction, and in our all of these things are finely engineered, and so it just plays to a consistency when we look at an intelligent designer. uh, we look at these fossil records and they are fascinating, but I think it also points out how much we truly do not know. That we do make a lot of assumptions to the detriment of other very logical ideas. But what it really comes down to me, Fuzz, is looking at what the evidence shows us truly and where it points us to. As you said, it's not just about some intelligent designer, it is about a biblical narrative that could actually be true. And as we look at science, whether it's astrophysics, microbiology, fossil records, we see a consistency that demands us to look a little bit closer because there's more at stake than just finding a new species. It's our eternal destiny, if I might say, that is truly on the line. And that's what I wanted to get to today, the God story. Hmm. I think this goes back to our geeky tendencies of science fiction. In science fiction, there's always some kind of superpower, right? Something immense and incredible, and we're always looking for our superhuman abilities. You know, we identify with the superhero, right? And maybe that's because there's a piece of us that desires that connection with that supernatural being, because there is a superpower in being able to go before the throne room of the living God in an intimate relationship, and to know that He intervenes in the lives of men, that He gives us purpose beyond the pain, that He gives us strength in times of sorrow, that there is something beyond just existing every day. And to me, that goes beyond geeky right to absolutely mind-blowing cool. And I love that we can get to that point. I love this is why I love what we do here with Science and Technology Tuesdays, Fuzz, because it's not just about talking about, ooh, that's cool stuff, but this cool stuff has specific ramifications to my life and to your life as you're listening. So if you're turned on to the God story and you want to hear more, you can contact us at My Michelle Live. You can find out more, watch us, like us, share us, comment, and make sure you visit us at mymichellive.com. We'll give you more information on how you can connect with Dr. Rana, his amazing books, which I think I may have read all of them at least once by now. Fabulous. And when you go to reasons.org, there are scores of blog postings, writings on just about everything you can imagine. So you can learn and grow and find out how the God story through science is so amazing and can give you reasons to believe. Thanks for being with us today, Fuzz. Always a blast.
More Sci Tech Talk at My Michelle Live.